When did I get a message?
You have one new message.
Hey, JP, you fucking freak, we're partying. Where are you at? I'll chirp you later. Here's Sam.
Hey, JP, we celebrated the game tonight. Stop it.
You mean the phone? My name is JP. I'm a robot. I like robots. I have a robot vagina. I am not amused.
Better you obey.
What's up, everyone? DJ Nubis here with the Meltdown Radio podcast, doing another gaming live stream. I'll be playing some Diablo 4 Season 6. I'm continuing my journey with my Spirit-born character. Just basically gathering materials and uniques and stuff, and just kind of giving some more gameplay as I'm going along here. A little bit later, I'll be watching a video from a guy who's a writer, a professional writer for an author, I guess, or whatever. And I guess he's going to be doing some reviewing or dialogue comparisons of what's going on in a new game called Dragon Age the Veilguard, which has a lot of controversy around it. In the gaming community right now, there's a lot of talk about wokeism and, you know, how DEI is kind of messing around with the gaming industry in terms of, is it bad? Is it good? Is inclusivity good, bad, whatever? But I think the general consensus for a lot of us is DEI is good, but if the writing is terrible, it just comes off very poorly. I heard a piece of the dialogue from Dragon Age, the Veilguard, earlier today, and it really comes off as like a 2-year-old wrote it. Like, it's really bad. Like, it's almost like the voice actors who were doing these characters, the developers and whatnot, are doing these dialogues. It's like they're simple-minded in terms of how they're trying to convey a message. So having a political message or social message is good. We've seen them in video games before. It's been around for a while. But the way that you convey those messages is very important, especially when it's storytelling and everything else. So I haven't watched the video from the guy. I'll pull it up later. I'll have to kind of take a pause a little bit while we're, you know, I'll probably play it in the background while we're listening to the guy. But I'm also checking for anybody who tunes in. If you hear any echoes from my voice, the last time I did a recording, there was an echo, and I'm trying to cut that out. So let me know if you hear it. But for the meantime, we're going to play some game first. I'm just pretty much running through the Undercity right now, picking up runes and uniques and stuff like that. But I've been weeding out some of my uniques. I'm just sticking with the GAs right now. But yeah, that's where we're at. And so let's go ahead and pull up the game and get busy and start doing some of this. And then, as I said, probably about, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes from now, I'll pause and we'll go through this video talking about the Dragon Age stuff, because it's a big topic. Everybody's been talking about it. So far with the game, it debuted last night, and it only reached a high on Steam at about 71,000, which is still pretty good for, you know, most games. But compared to like Black Myth Wukong, when their opening debut, they hit over like 2 million streamers. So there's a huge difference there in terms of, you know, what you're expecting and what you're getting from Dragon Age right now. Let's see. Hey, I've been having to run my streams differently. Twitch no longer does the studio, so I'm basically using OBS on my main computer and then just bringing up my StreamYard account and streaming through that. And it does the job in terms of streaming, but in terms of the mic and everything, I'm still kind of trying to work that out a little bit, because I'm not hearing myself and I don't use headphones. So I'm just trying to make sure. Which I may go, and after I made this run, I might go to YouTube and see if I can hear it just on the regular music and stuff. But like I said, if you hear any echoes from me, let me know. This way I can go and try to find out what that is. I think I've solved the issue, but I'm not sure. think one thing about Diablo 4 right now is so I had to go back and I'm obviously using meta builds, which help guide me through my builds that I use for each character that I have. But I still wish that when it comes to the great, the aspects, I wish that we could still imprint on uniques and mythics because I really don't understand like why we're still using legendaries if ultimately the other items are better or supposed to be more powerful than what we're using with legendaries. So it's a little bit frustrating that we don't have what's the word I'm looking for? The ability to change uniques, at least when it comes to imprints. Supersonic snake bite. It's very tuned Project Pitchfork opening up for us with that. Make some great music if you've never heard Project Pitchfork, industrial rock. Good stuff. Let me see something real quick. So no echo, good, okay. All right, let me see. Make sure I'm not losing time. I'm only going to get an echo right now because I'm watching myself on YouTube, just trying to see. Still doing all right, though. Okay, that's good. All right, cool. All right. All righty. So now let's continue on. Uh-oh. Did my new gift come? Or is it just a sale? Well, there's my free. Is it just the that's pretty fucking cool though. Mounts not included. Well, fuck you. I wonder if these are old. Supersonic snake bite. Yeah, okay. All right. I don't hear the game, so that's not really a bad thing necessarily. I just but I don't really want to turn up on my other speaker because that would create the echo there. So let me go back to YouTube real quick. Yeah.
What's vaccine that you need?
That's the wife
Oh, where's your phone?
streaming.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, so something's happening with OBS. So all right. So that's still not it. Problem is, I'm not super familiar with OBS, so I don't know, especially when you're working from a different computer. Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. Now you hear it. All right. All right. So we got it. So that should work. In case it isn't, anyone watching, just let me know if you do hear an echo. Occasionally I get like a small one, whether it's because my voice goes a little higher or not, but should now have to hear the game, and then I go to show the video later, we should be fine. All right, so back to work. I'll do this run and then I'll go and watch the video. Sentry, what's up, my man? How you feeling, brother? Hope you're doing well. It's my boy there. The leader of the sci-fi society. Definitely missed you last night, my friend. Would have been fun to have you on, but I know how life goes. But if you're going to hang around a little bit, I got some time because I'm going to get into a video here. As I talked about at the beginning, there's been this game that's been out for a while called Dragon Age, and they have a new one called Dragon Age the Veilguard. And in the industry right now with gaming, now I'm a casual gamer, so I'm not what you call a diehard. In fact, Century would be more considered a diehard kind of guy. But he plays different games than I do, for the most part. But in the gaming industry, we've seen a lot of, DEI inclusivity, which on the surface is great. But I think what it comes down to, and what a lot of us have been trying to explain to the people that get mad about it, get mad at us about it, or call us chuds or whatever the fuck they want to call us, is that it's not that DEI is bad. It's that if you don't write it well and don't write it where it makes sense, or if it feels forced, it comes out sounding bad. So like I heard a clip from Dragon Age earlier today, and like I said earlier, the way that it was written made it sound like it was written by a 12-year-old. It's really bad. And the thing is, you have to understand, your gamers, sure, you have younger people that are gamers, but you have older people too. So you don't have to make your game sound like a child in the sense that you don't have to preach to them or spell it out to them. They understand things just easy enough. So if you want to write dialogue that's along the lines of political or social, you can do that, but you have to be a little more mature about the way you go about doing that. You don't have to make it so explicit or so obvious. And so anyway, I've got this video. Let me see what this guy, if I can remember what his name was.
Thank you for joining me today.
I don't have his name right now, but I'll put it in the I'll put it into the description box later when I'm done here. But he's an author and a writer. He's a professional writer, and so he's actually going to go through the dialogue for Dragon Age and kind of explain whether it's good or bad, and probably break down why it's not so good and why it's kind of failing. Now, the game itself did okay last night on its launch. Oh, so Sentry feeling better. Yeah, I know how that goes, buddy. Got to court those ladies. Hey, I'm an old school Dragon Age and huge fan of the originals. I was pretty hyped about Veilguard. I think you and a lot of people were. There was a lot of people that were. And, that obviously, like I said, there were still like well over 70,000 people playing the game last night when it's on its launch. But compared to like Black Myth Wukong or Stellar Blade, the numbers are very, very minimal. And for a game that's been out for a while, like in terms of the name brand, I think people are kind of disappointed. And the funny thing is you can like the graphics in this game are probably well. I haven't played it. I don't think I've ever played Dragon Age before, but unless I played the one, I don't think it's the same game. But either way, if the game looks great and plays great, then it's probably gonna be fun. But if you're not able to immerse yourself in the story, and if it's so simple and stupid, some of the stuff that I've heard in this game is really dumb and like it just makes no sense for middle-aged type of game to do the things and say the things they're saying. And this is what we mean when we say that modern developers are kind of ruining the games, because they rather take their ideology and their agendas and try to force feed them into the game because they feel like that they need to make some sort of statement, when really the statement you should be making is that you can make a very entertaining and fun game that has nothing to do, or at least if you're going to do your politics and stuff, that it's in the background. We talk about this with movies and other forms of entertainment. If you're making it sound like you've written it by like a 10-year-old, nobody's going to relate to that. Most gamers these days are much older, and so especially games that have been around for a while, like Dragon Age. So you don't have to sit there and tell these people like, yeah, my mom, she wants to tell me I have to be like this, and it's dumb. Like, this is a middle-aged game. It should be about fantasy and fighting and everything else. And all these like little quirks and stuff that they say in here are really stupid sounding. It just makes no sense to the game. So let's hear what this gentleman has to say.
Okay, please grab a seat. Today we will be discussing some dialogue that we have seen from Dragon Age the Veilguard. This is a game that will be launching within the next few days, but we have seen a significant amount of gameplay and glowing reviews regarding the game. In this video, we will be discussing the writing of the dialogue in order to help writers. If you are an aspiring writer or you are working through the education system to learn writing, this video is to help you understand more about the writing process, understanding writing and dialogue for narrative stories on a deeper level, and how to avoid making mistakes that result in weak dialogue. In this video, we will show a scene from Dragon Age the Veilguard, and later I will show 2 examples of my work. The first example will be a game which features some dialogue, and the second I will be reading an excerpt from my upcoming novel, which is connected to my game series of the same intellectual property. So, before we go any further, we'll go ahead and just let this scene play out.
The cookies better.
Everyone likes the cookies better.
I'll eat the fruit. Thank you, Epitash.
Panahe done. I'll see you soon.
I'm going to pass on DA Veilguard, even though I don't want to. I think the game was originally called DA Dreadwolf. Actually, Dreadwolf is actually a cooler name, but yeah, I mean, I can't say whether or not the gameplay is going to be cool in this game or not. Like I said, I've never played the game, anything in the past either. I mean, but I love middle-aged games like this. So, but I think you're the same way with your game, Sentry, that I am when it comes to like storyline. Like, it has to be well thought out and strong. I know you've been playing like the Ronin game a lot, and I bet you $100 that the dialogue is 10 times better than what we're getting here. And that's problematic because, story is part of what drives the immersion of the fantasy of playing a video game. Like, I get it. When people say that they want to see themselves in a game, to a point, I get it. I when I play a game like Mortal Kombat, oh yeah, I wish I was Sub-Zero. Now, I don't want to look like me playing Sub-Zero. I want to look like Sub-Zero playing Sub-Zero. But there are people that want to see their pink hair and everything else, and like, that's fine, but I don't find that to be a necessity when it comes to the fantasy of playing, because usually you're fantasizing about being somebody else. That's sort of like the whole idea behind stepping outside of yourself and being Chris Hemsworth as Thor or whatever. So the same thing works with video games.
So, the Dragon Hunter has a softer side.
The Kyun says you take care of people.
So, you're a little Kunari, a little Rivani, and a little dragon?
Yeah.
I get that.
Come on. I should tell my mother how Karash is doing. Jathan said to eat the fruit before it spoils.
This is a very short scene, but I believe it's quite indicative of the writing as a whole, as I've seen a number of scenes from this video game. Now, I've transcribed the dialogue here, so we will go ahead and break this down. I will explain why it is not great in terms of what it is supposed to achieve, what it is setting out to achieve, how it tries to achieve those objectives, and why it does not function on a higher level in terms of dialogue writing from a narrative mechanical perspective. So dialogue in any form of media, whether that is a novel, a video game, a film, TV show, a dialogue is an opportunity and a mechanism by which the audience learns about the world and its inhabitants. So every scene containing dialogue is an opportunity for the audience to get to know the characters better and to understand the character relationships to other characters, as well as that character's mental state. So if the dialogue is boring, if characters just say what they are feeling and what they are thinking and what their intentions are, it's very dull. The audience will get very bored of that. If a character says, "How are you feeling?" and another character says, "I am fine," then the character says, "We need to do this," and the next character says, "Yes, let's do that." You have failed entirely as a writer. So let's go ahead and take a look at the dialogue here. More than just fish. Here you go, Shathan? So Shathan said to eat the fruit before it spoils. The objective here is to convince Karash to eat fruit. Karash responds, "I like the cookies better." Tosh responds, "Everyone likes the cookies better." Karash responds, "I'll eat the fruit, thank you." So, within 4 lines of dialogue, we have achieved the goal. Tosh is trying to convince Karash to eat the fruit, but Karash does not want to eat the fruit because Karash likes the cookies better. Tosh's response to this is to say everyone likes the cookies better, and as a response, Karash says, "I'll eat the fruit." Then Tosh says, Panahedon? Panahedon. I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with this word. "I'll see you soon."
Just call him P for short.
So what is extremely important is the logical flow. As a writer, especially if you're a dialogue writer, you absolutely must have a strong grasp on logical flow. How does one line of dialogue connect to the next? How does it flow into the next? And what we see here is a lack of logical flow. This is not a conversation where logically one line of dialogue leads to the next. We'll go ahead and just read the next of it. For some reason, Karash exits. I don't fully understand the context here. Tosh, and Rook walk away from the campfire. Rook, so the dragon hunter has a softer side. Tosh, the Kun says you take care of people. Here is the perfect example of a complete and utter lack of logical flow. How does this section of dialogue connect to the dragon hunter having a softer side? What about this dialogue here?
Yeah, exactly. So, and I know you're going to agree with me on this too, is that take Godzilla -1. We can enjoy a very multitude of Godzilla films, and sometimes they have some of the dumbest dialogue, some of the silliness of it all. But then when it comes to masterpieces like -1, it's not just the effects, it's not just the flow of the movie, it's the dialogue, it's the story. Like, even people who are not the biggest Godzilla fans who watched -1 came out of it saying, well, I know Godzilla's existed forever, but this movie really wasn't even that much about him. He was just kind of there and just a part of the story. And it's like, true, because there was a much deeper meaning story. So obviously games work on a little bit of a different level, but when you're playing something that's like medieval or even Mortal Kombat, which if you really think about it, Mortal Kombat has kind of grown in terms of a storyline. They're much more in depth now. They've thought about it more. Of course, now I didn't play MK1, even though I've heard some horror stories about some of the dialogue in that. But you know, you expect games to kind of get better with storytelling as it goes on because we have better technology, better graphics, just so many more things that are available to gaming that we didn't have back in the day. When you were actually programming them stick figures, you know, running around. Now it's way different. So if I play a game like what's the one, Souls, Dead Souls or something, but or you know, just any game like right now Diablo 4, I mean, it's not super deep, but at least puts a little bit of thought into it. And I don't get the shitty dialogue that I've got here. Like, this is the stupid shit that makes no sense and has really no place. And I think I was watching a VTuber earlier, and she was basically stating that unless you're doing a game like Dustborn, which is actually meant to kind of put a focus on dialogue and on the modern terminology of stuff and how you interact with people, even though that game didn't do well, at least that game was staying within the constraints of what it was designed to do. And I think the people and the developers that were trying to defend it never really stood up for it on that level. They were just pushing back against people saying it was woke instead of saying, yes, it is woke. We are designing this game a specific way to show the interactions of people who are changing themselves and, you know, label themselves something different. That game was specifically designed to kind of open up the dialogue for gamers and how they interact with one another and other gamers and within the game itself too. But the people that were getting defensive never thought about to approach it that way. They just kind of like said, oh, you're just hating on our game. No, we're not. It's just, we're pointing out the obvious. And I think this guy's doing the same thing. Now he's kind of beating around the bush. He's a lot more polite about it. It's really just saying that this is like very basic dialogue that's made for like a 2-year-old. That's basically what this is.
Says that Rook has a softer side. There is absolutely nothing here. So this would be an abject failure to connect one line of dialogue to the next. These are lines that have been written and have absolutely no logical flow. So the Dragon Hunter has a softer side, despite the fact that we have not seen a softer side here. The only line of dialogue that we have to go on is everyone likes the cookies better, which is trying to tell us that means someone has a softer side, if for someone to say everyone likes the cookies better. Then the Tosh responds. So this is the query here. Dialogue consists of 2 components mechanically, a query and a response. In this situation, the query is, so the Dragon Hunter has a softer side, and the response is, the Kun says you take care of people. I want you to consider how this response connects to this. How logically does this make sense when it is in response to this? So you're a Kunari, a little Rivani, and a little dragon. Again, consider your logical flow. How does this line of dialogue flow into this one? This is saying that these characters are not actually listening to each other. They are just saying text. They are saying dialogue that exists in its own space. Yeah. This is the very first piece of logical flow in this text here.
Well, he's right, but it goes deeper than that, because what it's doing is, this is where they're inserting the whole idea that, oh, this little dragon doesn't have to be such a badass. He can show his sensitive side. And you can have that, but you don't necessarily need dialogue to go along with it. You don't have to actually state it out loud. People who are playing the game will notice that just off the bat, especially if they're long-term players. So take a guy like Sentry, who's actually played this game before. If he's playing these characters, he's going to notice that this character's behavior has changed, but he doesn't need to have it spelled out to him. Now, I'm approaching this dialogue different than this guy is, but he's just approaching it from basically how someone would converse with one another, which makes sense. Like, this isn't really logical in how they're applying it. They're just kind of spitting. It's almost like GBT kicked this out. AI basically kicked this out for him. That's basically what it sounds like.
Yeah. Rook, I get that. Again, this breaks the logical flow. This is not a logical response to say, I get that. It makes no sense. It is not telling the audience anything. It is not telling us anything about these characters' mental states. And in response, Tosh says, come on, I should tell my mother how Karash is doing. This does not have any logical flow. Come on would be to mean that Rook is trying to extend the conversation or to stay in the moment, and Tosh is saying, let's end the moment and move on. However, this does not connect to anything else.
I also think that gaming studios want to use their own writers so they won't have to pay to hire. Yes. Yeah, I think, and it's same with the developers too. They'd rather have people come in who are trying to, again, force agendas rather than actually get involved with gaming. So basically, even like developers, when we were watching Blizzard for Diablo 4 back in season 2 or 3, and some of the developers were doing a live stream, campfire chat, and the two girls came out, and they were, nice enough girls, no problem there, but they didn't really understand the mechanics of the game. They started playing the game live to show people the gameplay of what was coming up, and they were not very good. It's like they had never played a game before. Whereas if you went and watched a few months back when the makers of Path of Exile 2 that's coming out, they had a guy who actually worked on the game and also knew how to play the game. So he was showing the gameplay and able to do it. Now, he got his ass kicked by the boss, but that was sort of the point. But he was showing you everything that you needed to know about how challenging it was going to be and how to set up your fights and your weaponry and your spells and everything else. Whereas these girls really they kind of just ran around a dungeon and then died within seconds because they really didn't know what they were doing. And so when you have developers that aren't actually playing the game to test it, like everybody knows, since I said this from the very first when Diablo 4 got released, that Blizzard was making the gamers their test dummies. We were basically the ones test driving the game for them without getting paid for it. We had to pay them to test their own game. So Blizzard was smart in that way. They just forced their own fan base to be the ones that did the game tests for them. And that's what we've been doing ever since. Now, the good news is Blizzard's been at least listening to on some level, but it's been a work in progress. When it comes to Dragon Age, it looks like, and some of these other games that are out there, it's like you're getting some of these developers and these writers, and they don't care about games, dude. They don't. This is what we see in game journalism. They really don't care about games. All they care about is any kind of message that you can send politically or socially that they can get across. And if they piss off a majority of gamers, they don't care. It's all about the message. And it's like, and my issues with this is that I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're trans. I don't care if you're black, white, blue, green, whatever. When it comes to gaming, if you look at the stats, a majority of gamers are still white. That doesn't mean that it can't grow through the minorities. The point is that you don't make games for the minority. It's being done. We've seen it being done, but you're not supposed to, because you're losing money. So when games like Concord and Dustborn and some of these other games, like right now, I can't tell you what the full money was that to create Dragon Age the Veilguard, how much it was, but with only 70,000 people on launch day, from what I understand, the price tag to create it was like over 200 million. I'm just spitballing here. You're not making that back. So I don't understand that these studios, it's twofold. The studios come out and they're like, well, we lost so much money. Now we have to fire people and we're going to have to fold the company. And we have these chuds. They're like celebrating. It's like, well, we're celebrating because you're stupid enough to waste money on games that no one's going to fucking play. Yeah, you got 70,000 people who are going to play this game, dude, but that's not, you want to expand. You want to be above that. You want to expand beyond this small minority of people. But if that's all who you're talking to, and then you come out and you're telling people, well, this game's not meant for you, well, then no one's going to buy and play your fucking game. You have to fucking be smarter about that. It's the same thing with the movies and TV shows. Like, you're wasting money on products that a majority of people don't give a fuck about. Then when you have when you want to have something like that, but the story is so bad that even the most average person who wants to sort of support that can't get into it. So say the Acolyte, there's plenty of people who were supportive of what they were trying to do, but the story was so bad they just had to tune out. It was terrible. And that's what we're back to here with the game. You know, it's like the dialogue sucks. Your story sucks. So a majority of gamers aren't going to want to play this because unless you mute it while you're playing or find a way to take the dialogue out, nobody's going to want to play this.
In the text. It is just there to end the scene. So, every scene, again, this is information if you are an aspiring writer or if you are just interested in the process of storytelling and dialogue writing. Like myself, I'm a significant fan of film, video games, books. So it is important that we need to consider what level of competence a writer has for these works of media, because they will influence aspiring writers. So every scene of dialogue must have an objective. What is the scene accomplishing from a narrative perspective? What information does the character need? And what information does the viewer need? So you need to consider these on many different levels. There are multiple levels to every single scene. How does the dialogue advance either the plot, or how does it change a character's mental state? What is extremely important is the subtext of the dialogue. What does it say about the character's mental state? How does it help us understand these characters more? If none of these objectives are being targeted, then you are wasting the viewer's time and you are only providing filler. It is fluff and you are wasting time. What is so important is to consider, what does the progression of dialogue say about the character's relationship? What does it say about their mental states? I can only gather that Karash does not want to eat the fruit, and Tosh says that everyone likes cookies, and that Karash is easily coerced and easily convinced into eating the fruit because everyone likes cookies. So I can only assume that Karash is a contrarian, and Karash does not want to do what everyone else is doing. I do not have an understanding of the backstory behind these characters, so whether Karash is a contrarian or not, that is the only information that I can extrapolate. But this tells me nothing about these characters' mental states. It means that Karash is...
Like Ghost of Tsushima was a great game with great writing and everything else, but they scrapped their own original team that created it. Yep, just to push an agenda, and Anthony did more research on it. Yeah. So now I saw some stills and a little bit of gameplay for Ghost of Tsushima, and it looked cool. But then when you take out the voice actress who's doing it and some of her own agendas, and then as you said, when it comes to writers, so like with Diablo 4, they have a whole new set of developers and writers compared to D3. So I'm thinking to myself, if you're trying to learn from mistakes that you make, because Diablo 3 went through some rough patches for years before Reaper of Souls came out. So my thinking is you should just take who got it right at the end there and bring them in for Diablo 4, but they didn't do that. So yeah, you're right. Like when you switch your developers and your writers and everybody else, this is what you get. And again, if Ghost ends up failing, it's going to be because they didn't. They once again looked at the minority of the gamer community that they wanted to talk to or to reach, and then left out the majority, and especially the diehards. Like I never played the original game of that series, but I saw the backlash on Twitter, and people were upset, visibly upset. Now, again, you have the people that are like, you hate gay people. Like, no, it's not the case at all, man. It's like, I don't care that a character is gay. You could have made Eve and Stellar Blade gay. I just wouldn't give a shit. But the fact is, if she's gay and it's still badass like it is, and like she can still dress as sexy as she wants, and I don't have to hear stupid ass dialogue, it's a win-win, dude. I don't give a fuck. But if I have to hear another fucking gay streamer, gamer, whatever that blasts Stellar Blade for supposed sexualizing a character, and then you're talking about enjoying looking at some male game character's balls, which I don't even know what game it was, but I remember it got brought up months ago. But if that's what you're tickling the balls on the screen and you're blasting everybody else for sexualizing Eve, well, fuck off, dude. Like, I'm not playing that game. You can't be taken seriously. And so, I don't know, man. Give me a good story. I don't care if there's gay characters. I don't care if you want to talk about, I don't care if it's a black character. I don't care if it's an Asian character. I don't care if it's a white character. It has to have a good story, and it has to fucking make sense. This guy's telling you that this dialogue, even without my own interpretation of some of the shit they're trying to convey with it, he's just going by logical dialogue between two characters. He's saying it makes no fucking sense. It sounds robotic. It makes no goddamn sense.
Is easily coerced by a single line of dialogue. The literal words are not the most important part of a dialogue. It is the flow of information, it's the subtext of the information, and it is the engagement with the audience that builds a strong scene. I'm going to use a word to describe a skill level, a level of understanding, and that word is competence. When it comes to performing a task, in this case writing dialogue, you need to describe the skill level. You either have familiarity, which is the first level of skill proficiency. You have familiarity, followed by competence, followed by mastery. Now, there are many levels of competence, there are many levels of mastery, but familiarity is the first level. But familiarity is not competence, so familiarity is incompetence. The writing in this scene, and from other scenes that I've seen from this title, are still at the familiarity stage. Whoever is writing this dialogue, whether that be a person who is early on in their career, who I am not intending to insult, this person is at the familiarity stage of a skill level, which means that they are not competent, so they are incompetent. Whether they are using artificial intelligence to generate this is...
Yeah, it's either one or two things. It's either AI, like they got fucking lazy and they just typed in some keywords to generate the chat between the characters, or they're a fucking 12-year-old writing this shit, because it makes no sense. It's very bare basic, and it's something that an infant would write. Like, it's not mature at all anyway. And again, makes no sense in the world of a fantasy middle-aged game that we have this kind of shit. But the dialogue is so effing bad that anybody that's playing the game, I can't see how they're really enjoying the story. Like, unless you don't give a shit about the story, I don't know what to tell you.
I do not believe that this could be AI generated because it is actually so terrible. I believe that generative AI would actually generate a logical flow of dialogue. So I believe this is created by a human who is incompetent at writing. And there is no other explanation for this. My credentials are in training and assessment, and my work involves professional writing, which I have done for many years, and I will share examples of my work now. First, I will share an example.
I personally hope that he actually rewrites this conversation in a way that he thinks it should be said. I don't know if he will, but that'd be kind of cool just to see what he came up with in terms of dialogue.
Of my game Silver Falls Galaxy Bound Curse for the Game Boy. I am comfortable sharing this example with you because it is not a commercial title, so I will not be using this opportunity to sell you a product. The game that I will be showing you is free. This is a homebrew title that I created for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. You can play this title for yourself if you want, absolutely for free. The title is not monetized. This example will be taken from a live stream.
Still promoting it,
let's go ahead and have a look at the scene now. The guy that you're hunting down in this game kidnapped a kid at the beginning of the story. His name is Eli Goodwin. Sam is Eli's son. And Eli is mentioned throughout the story. You meet him in Silver Falls Undertakers, which you can also play for free. The link is in the description. You can play it in the web browser. You need a keyboard. Sam Goodwin. So this is Sam, Eli's son. Sam, well, where is your father? Where is Eli? He just left. Sam, there's blood on your head. Are you all right? I couldn't stop him. I wanted to so badly, but I couldn't. Sam, did your father have a child with him? I tried to save the kid. He brought the kid into the house. Sam, whose gun is that? Sam, put down the gun. Dear God, I tried to stop Father. I was finally going to do it. I was finally going to give Father what he deserved. I was going to save the kid, but... What the hell happened? Tell me. Say something, Sam.
Sam,
I'm a coward. I couldn't stop him. I knew God was watching me and I couldn't do it. I wanted to save the kid, but... Father, that filthy... I wanted to kill him, but I saw God's eyes. He was watching me. I couldn't kill Father. I couldn't save the kid. I wanted to so badly shove the barrel of this gun down his throat further and further, and when he started crying, I'd pull the trigger. I'd finally give Father what he deserves, but I couldn't. A kid was there. He would have seen me kill him, so I couldn't. Sam. Sheriff. I ain't got no reason to live. I don't deserve to live. Sam, where's Eli? Where's the kid? Father, he thrashed me over the head when I...
Well, this is like, I don't know, it's like a 40-minute video, but I'm not going to go through it all. But let me give you the name of the guy that did it. So it's Sungran Studios. And the video is called Writer. I'll just give you a portion of the first part. So yeah, so that's the guy that did the video, and that's how his video starts out in terms of the title. So anybody that wants to go and kind of watch the rest of what he has to say about this, you know, that's the dude. I'll put the link in my description when I'm done. But let me go back to Sentry here real quick. I also think they're kind of corners of games a lot more now as well, because some games like Ghost of Yotei and God of War are costing almost as much as an actual fee. Yeah, they talk about it all the time. I mean, they're dumping a shit ton of money into games, but the thing that really baffles me is that as a studio, and maybe it's because I'm not rich that I have a bigger problem with it, but you know, if I had the money and I had that kind of money, and I had to rely, like if I was Disney or Warner Brothers or whatever, like if I had money and I was going to sell you a product to the consumer, and I have a clear gauge of what's going on in the customer audiences. Like I see what's going on in the media, I see what's going on between people who are into stuff or not into stuff. I'm looking at ratings and I'm watching this and I say to myself, well, why do I want to do something like Dragon Age, or why do I want to do the Acolyte? Why do I want to do something where I know it's going to be very polarizing, especially to the majority of audiences? It doesn't matter if I agree or disagree with whatever message that the director or actors or voice actors or the gaming studio wants to try to portray or convey to their audience. You can, like I said, you can do certain things with that are well structured, and it's not so, childish or, preachy or whatever you want to call it. But like, there are ways to convey these messages in a very mature, methodical, logical way. And if I'm a studio and I'm already seeing what's happening like Disney, where I'm doing certain things with certain movies, and let's just take the Marvels versus Deadpool and Wolverine. Completely different in terms of how they were presented, completely different on how they were accepted, completely different in how they generated money. So why would I continue to do Miss Marvel or Marvels when I know my bread and butter is with Deadpool and Wolverine? And keep in mind, Deadpool and Wolverine was still diverse. It still had a diverse cast and everything. No issues. It was written well. No one gave a shit. Had some great funny jokes. They didn't worry about virtual signaling. None of that shit. It's just a fun fucking movie. Entertainment, people. Popcorn. That's what we're there for. Have fun. So when I watch what's happening with these gaming studios and the money they're wasting on these games that aren't doing well, and they're still trying to kick them out and still trying to use companies like Sweet Baby Inc. and all these other ones that are force-feeding these writings that aren't very good. Okay. It's not like you can't have these consulting agencies, but the fact that they're not very good is a clear sign that the reason why they're getting let go. It's why Sweet Baby Inc. had to take down all the people that they were working with, because nobody was really wanting to be advertised working with them. So I couldn't do that with my money. If I knew that I'm just pissing money in the wind on games that aren't selling, that would make me an idiot. How am I going to make money if I'm doing that? If I really wanted to help out with this agenda, right? If I had these people come to me saying, well, we really like to have inclusive games and have more people involved, and we just think it's very important. I'm like, well, all right, let's do this. If we're going to do this, let's do it right. Right? Let's not lecture our gamers. Let's not tell the Game Boys, the gamers out there, the white straight men, that they're losers. Let's not do that. Let's not poke the bear. Let's not fight. Even if you disagree with them, let's not antagonize them to the point that they're going to want to push back anyway. So let's give them something they can get on board with, right? That would be the key, because in the end, it should be about bringing everybody together, not pushing us apart. So even if you take that small group of trolls that will hate the games anyway, right? These are just dumb assholes that exist. We know they're out there. They were out there for the Acolyte. They're out there for some of these games. But that's not the majority. The majority out there would love to play a game that is diverse in any way, because they've been doing it. They'll give you lists of games that they played that are diverse. I mean, I'm sure Sentry, he loves his Asian Oriental games like Ronin and stuff like that. I haven't really heard his thoughts on the Assassin's Creed where they took the Black Samurai, which isn't even a verified individual. But you talk about insulting a culture, like that's fucked up, dude. And how it is, this gaming studio thought that was a good idea is beyond me. And they keep trying to double down and defend it. It's like you purposely took a black person, put them as the main character in an Asian culture. I mean, that's the equivalent of whitewashing. That's what I'm saying. When you do that, that's like me going and making a movie about NWA and making all the rappers white. And then just telling you, well, it's okay. White rappers existed, just deal with it. It's just a character, right? It wouldn't make any fucking sense. I know I'm kind of going on a lecture here, but this stuff's just weird to me, like, especially from a financial standpoint, because it's like, why are you wasting all this money? Where's all the money coming from? The worst part about it is I think Disney is probably going to take a lot of the financial gains that they made from Deadpool and Wolverine and try to dump it into more bullshit movies because they can't make the money on their own. This is like the Hollywood version of the WNBA. Like, woke Hollywood can't sustain itself, so it needs all these like regular, awesome, fun movies in the same company making them money and carrying them so they can go and make another trash fucking movie that no one's going to give a shit about. And I can only assume the gaming community is probably going to work the same way, although it's not near the level because we're already seeing some gaming companies that have had to shut down or fire people. So at one point, I'm just asking, when are you going to learn not to waste money on this when you haven't watched it like a watchdog to make sure that whatever agenda is coming into it, whatever dialogue, whatever consultant agency, whatever, if you're not watching it with a clear eye and making sure that this isn't some dumbass shit that people are going to get pissed off about, don't release it. Don't okay it. Don't finance it. Make sure that whoever you're working games with, you know what that story is going to be. And you know how it's going to turn out, how the dialogue is going to be there. Is it culturally accurate, right? So we're thinking like Assassin's Creed shit, right? We can't go and start whitewashing or blackwashing stuff, right? Can't do that. That makes no sense. It's not inclusive to go and basically, blackwash a culture that's Asian. Like, that's stupid as fuck. It's no common sense there whatsoever. And whoever thought that was a good idea is an idiot. They need to be fired immediately. Yeah, so that's my take, man. Like, I've never played Dragon Age, but the reality is when I look at what's going on and watching that guy break down the video just from a basic communication standpoint of the characters, like, your gamers aren't stupid. No matter if the developers or the journalists think gamers are stupid, we're not. So if you want to pass off characters that you're showing growth in terms of like they don't have to be masculine all the time, or they can be sensitive every once in a while, or if they don't want to see themselves as one particular gender, that's fine, but you don't need to spell it out to the gamer. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be in dialogue or anything like that. You can get the sense of how the game is playing to understand what's going on. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and play for another 30 minutes on Diablo 4. And then I think I'm going to try to join Kevin's stream for the Godzilla stuff at 6 p.m. Eastern, where been an announcement. Yeah, from Toho. That's right. We got some shit coming, boys. Stuff that I've been hoping for. I don't know what Kevin's got in store and talk about, but I know that's going to be one of the topics. So maybe Century will be there. Want to be there, Century? Want to join in on the Godzilla discussion? Maybe he's already part of it. I don't know. I think Walter and John are too. Big Bad Wolf. So if you know anybody who follows me and watched us last night, we did a review for Lake Mungo on our live stream. But let's get back to some D4, playing some Diablo 4. I'm never going the oven. Let's see. Plus, I ain't gonna throw down 89 bills in a game that's gonna be controversial and ain't gonna be good. Yeah, that's the funny thing, man. Like, at least with Diablo 4, I kind of already know what I'm getting into. Like, I already know if I paid for the expansion, but I knew it wasn't gonna have all this nonsense that I had to deal with. Yeah, yep, without a doubt. Same way. He's actually more picky about it than I am. Damn right. Damn right. So, Sentry, if you're still hanging around, what are you hoping that is going to be the sequel? Personally, I'm hoping that it's going to be Godzilla Raids again. Because I want to see what he can do with Angarius. The only thing that would make me think that it's not, though, is that because of the girl that has the infection or the radiation, like, I think that it could go Biollante, which would be still kind of cool. Because we haven't had one since Biollante first got released. But either one of those would really make my day. Which I know we'll talk about anyway. All right, man. I'll talk at you later, brother. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Devoured men. You pray.
It's hard to think about what it could be, actually. I'm just going to see what he would say. Yeah, that's true too, man. Like, I don't think whatever he does is going to be sweet because he is an excellent director. I'm Soho. I just signed him to the longest deal possible to do any kaiju films going forward because he knows what he's doing. That's my first Ancient's Oath. Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna keep that.
Come in, I don't bite. Not like I used to, anyway.
Bless you.
Wouldn't have made it without you.
All right, folks. I think that's going to about do it for me today on this stream. I appreciate you all checking it out and talking a little bit about the Dragon Age stuff. Thanks for Century for stopping by. That's my main man there. If you want to talk some kaiju and Godzilla stuff, later today on the Entertainment Headquarters channel with Kevin Lambert, he's going to be hosting a panel of us to discuss Godzilla, the 70th anniversary, which is today or tomorrow. I can't remember which day it is, but there was some news coming out of Toho about the director who did -1 is going to be doing another Godzilla film. So really, really excited about that news. So if you want to check in on that discussion about Godzilla, 6 o'clock, about an hour from now on the Entertainment Headquarters channel, we'll be on there talking about the latest news on the G-Man. But as always, thank you all for tuning in and checking us out, and we'll see you next time on the Metal Time Radio podcast.